Next up, we've got Claire Atkins-Morris from Sodexo and Alex Hammond from NHS England. Welcome to the stage.
Firstly, hi, I'm Claire. I'm not going to change. Maybe I should. There we go. I'm Claire. We were talking a lot around CPD. I'm chartered and I'm a fellow. I feel like I should do that now. And I love how many names and titles are behind people's names. I feel like we should just extend our business cards because we do so much CPD in this field. And I love the fact that service providers have so much competency. It blew me away, that stat, so thank you for this morning. I am joined by somebody that we haven't actually been very kind to today. So I've got Procurement on the stage with me. So I feel I should introduce Alex, but in a way that she introduces herself and could represent the procurement industry.
Much. Oh, maybe not. Oh, yes. Hi, everyone. Yes, the lone procurement person in the room. My name's Alex, and I lead on sustainable procurement for the National Health Service. So the whole thing, my team and I set the policy agenda around how we do sustainability and the way we buy. So that's net zero, social value, and modern slavery. So I'll tell you more about that in a sec.
Awesome, and we are Ant and Dec, and depending on which way we stand, determines who is Ant and who is Dec. So I'm from Sodexo, so I'm a whale, apparently, or a killer shark. I wasn't sure. Oh, whale. Thank you. I'll go back to slimming one. On that note, sorry, I should get to the serious business. Sorry, Sodexo, sorry. So I manage sustainability. I have to be crazy because sustainability and ESG has popped up so much today, right? And we've all said how massive it is. So I think the people that run it, you are crazy because it is so vast. What are you doing? I don't want sparkling either. Thank you. Yes. Right. Okay. Let's start with the why. You've distracted me. So the why, we are a case study, and we've heard lots today around how important ESG and sustainability is, how hard it is. Sunil, you really set me up. Sunil, I hope you're still here. Has he left? Oh yeah, perfect. Awesome. So you set us up really well. So today we're very much going to share collaboration and what that looks like when you're working together, because we have to, and we do market signals together because we have to. It enables us to move further, faster. A key thing for us was how do we work together? And 4 years ago, me and my colleague Sarah, who is in the room, we were in our London office, and I had an individual for a client that was working on sustainability, and so did she. And we're like, should we just see if they want to say hi? And they said hi, and oh my goodness, the sparks are flying. They were so excited that they could say all these weird acronyms, TCFD, CSRD, EUDR, and they were nobody was looking at them like they're weirdos. They felt part of their clan, and we went, hang on a minute, we think there's something here. And we formed what was called a community of practice, which we've also heard about this morning. So what is a community of practice? So it's a group of like-minded individuals that are focused on a particular thing. So for us, it was around how do we work together on climate, social, and nature goals together. And we were really, really lucky because we had some clients who were like, that sounds fun. We get to hear lots about our industry, but we don't get to hear lots about lots of other industries. So Alex was one of our founding partners. That was 3 years ago, and we started with 4 people, and we're now at 60. So it's massively exploded, and we'll share some of the learnings from that first. But the key for us today is that Alex is going to take us through the NHS Evergreen Framework. It's something that I think is phenomenally ambitious and has really set the tone for how Sodexo's worked, but also how it played a part in our community of practice. So I'll pass over to Alex.
Thanks, Claire. Can you move to the next slide? I don't think I have control. Thank you. So, hi. It's been a brilliant sort of journey that we've taken with our whole work around sustainability, but also particularly with Sodexo and also Sodexo's clients are often my suppliers. So it's been a really enriching experience for me to be part of this community of practice. We'll talk about that a bit more in a second. But this thing that you have on the screen right here is called the NHS Net Zero Supplier Roadmap. And we wrote this and published it in 2021. If you're a supplier to the NHS and you haven't seen this, if you stand up if you're a supplier to the NHS. Sarah, you're a supplier to the NHS, do you know? All right, so we got a few. All right, but you probably have some interaction or some, all of us probably are patients of the NHS in some way, shape, or form. And what we did, we published this in 2021 to give our suppliers a real indication and runway and signaling as to what we were going to expect of them over the next decade. We have 80,000 suppliers, give or take 10 or 15,000, and we spend about 90 billion pounds on stuff and people every single year. So we have a complex and often fragmented supply chain, and one of the big challenges that we knew that we had to tackle was our Scope 3 emissions. And that for us is about 75% of our emissions sits in our Scope 3. I know for some it can be much, much more than that, but we also have lots of estates and other things, travel and transportation, et cetera. But we didn't have any, we had an interest in it and a commitment to making this happen, but we didn't really know how to do that. And actually, what we learned was nobody knew how to do that. Nobody had done it. Nobody had said, okay, this is the way we're going to get a really complex and difficult supply chain to net zero. And so we took a really good stab at it, and I think we did pretty well, actually. So in 2021, we published this framework. So this is a series of timed milestones that we expected our suppliers to work with us towards. So earlier you mentioned carbon reduction plans not being very helpful. I want to talk to you about that. But what's been interesting is we set out our social value 10% minimum weighting in all of our procurements. It's pretty standard in public sector procurement now, but it wasn't back in 2021, 22 when we put it in. And we also asked our suppliers for a carbon reduction plan. This, for us, was a really important foundational step in getting our huge supply chain on the net zero journey with us. And to date, we now have over 90% of our spend covered by a net zero commitment and a carbon reduction plan, which for a supply chain as large and as tricky as ours, that's a really, really exciting step for us. We've got lots of future ambitions. I wish I had more time to tell you about the stuff we're going to be doing, but importantly, our work around 2027, so the ask around Scope 3. So at the moment, we ask our suppliers just for Scope 1 and Scope 2 and a little bit of Scope 3. Apologies if this is a bit techy, but from 2027, we're going to ask our suppliers for all of their emissions of scopes, all their relevant emissions. This is really, really important, and we're going to align it to international standards, so we're not going to make duplication in the market, we're not going to try to make it really difficult for people, but we're going to make sure that we do this in a really kind of strategic way. This is our plan. This is what we need our suppliers to work towards. And what we did was create something called the Evergreen Sustainable Supplier Framework, which is an online tool, it's a benchmarking tool for our supply chain to use to see how they're doing against these requirements, and what they can do to sort of get farther onto the journey. But also for us to recognize our really high-performing suppliers, because we have a lot of suppliers that look at this and say, been there, done that, we've got this sorted, right? So what we need to do is look at how we can recognize those high-performing suppliers. One of them is Sodexo. So with Evergreen, you get a level from either 0, sort of not quite there yet, to 4. So we have a very small number of suppliers, under 11 suppliers who are level 4, and one of them is Sodexo, and that's really kind of the story of our journey, is why we put this framework in place, and a lot of our suppliers have responded really well, but Sodexo really has taken this on in quite a fundamental way. So that's kind of what we're here to tell you more about.
Awesome. And, this isn't because it's the right thing to do. I hate that phrase when people say it's like, oh, your job's so nice, fluffy, it's the right thing to do. No, this is commercial, right? We are a strategic supplier to the NHS. Fundamentally, what their agenda is, we want to be able to match it. So this framework was ideal for me. I got hold of it with 2 hands. I went to the board and said, fund it. How do we get there? And that was awesome when we spoke to Alex and said, right, we'll be part of the pilot. Yeah, we'll do this. And we spoke to the community of practice clients in there and said, anyone need any help? And they're like, oh my gosh, what is a carbon reduction plan? And so we shared our carbon reduction plan at the time. And going back to Sunil, you were saying the carbon reduction plans are not very effective. I agree at the moment because they only do a subset of Scope 3, but I was lazy and decided to just shove it all out there. So when you look at our carbon reduction plan, it covers all of our emissions, primarily because I couldn't be bothered to change it into different subsets. So it is all out there, but the procurement people, we did it in like Jack and Jill language. So we're saying this is the PPN, this complies with it, but this is all of it. So we kind of moved on from that. You can see 2027 around the carbon footprinting. Again, we've invested in systems and data. Again, I've heard that we have 8 sustainability systems according to the crazy map that we saw earlier. Thank you for that. And that's true, there's so much data that comes through because it's not sustainability data, it's how do people get to the office? Well, that will be in one pool. You've got how your refrigerant gas is used, that's from a different data set. So sustainability is just one of those areas which covers so much of your data pools. I'm there going, how do we all pull it together? And I do, I have a massive dashboard that helps me with that, but going back to that the data point, it starts to get really, really heavy. Anyway. Remember, we've been working on this a long time, so we are family-owned, still family-owned. We're a whale, but family-owned, which is pretty awesome. I'm never going to forget that. Our founder was Pierre Ballon, and his mission was around quality of life for our people, for the clients that we serve, and the communities that we work in. So we've heard a lot around social mobility this morning, and that is absolutely paramount to how we show up in the organisation. And I didn't know FM. I needed a job. I was unemployed. I needed a job, and I applied for Sodexo, and here I am 16 years later, and 10 different roles, 2 babies, and they still let me get on stage with a microphone. You know, what organisation allows that? You can see behind me, these are our targets. And we talked about framework this morning. We've gone down the Science-Based Targets Initiative framework. It's really important for us to have short, near and long term. Again, being transparent, being really clear about how we measure our emissions. And it's served us well. You can see we've got some massive reductions. It's not linear. If you look at our progress in 2024, being really transparent because it's out there, we didn't do so well. We then learned from that, and we were like, right, okay, for 2025, we now know what we need to do. So it goes back to a bit about data and insight, but a bit about the leader going, this is now what we need to do. A really key thing for us was around our supply chain. I'm looking at Sunil, so what is our Scope 3? How much do you think is in it? I did higher and lower when I was last here, and I can't but help but do it again for this session. How much do you think is in our Scope 3? Do you think it's higher or lower than 85%? Don't leave me hanging. Oh, I love that. Okay. Higher or lower than 90%? Love that. Higher or lower than 95%? Oh, which one is it? We've got lower. No, 98%. 98% is in our Scope 3 because you're going to see that a lot in FM because we're all on our client sites, right? We don't have as many assets as our clients do, which sits within their Scope 1 and 2. So your Scope 3 is going to be pretty big. Where are you going? Did you lose higher and lower? Oh, sorry about that. Bye. Sorry. A really key thing for us. So 98% is in Scope 3. Large proportion is in our supply chain. Don't you all leave now. If you need a bathroom, you've got to hold on to it, okay? Significant proportion in our supply chain. So we worked out how do we get to our supply partners. So we enlisted a net zero supply chain engagement strategy. We aligned it to the Evergreen because, again, the NHS were already asking our suppliers for this. We also said, right, we'll tag along. We're not going to ask you to do anything else because it's already hard enough as it is. And from that, they're on board. 97%, I think, is saying. Yeah, 97% are engaged within it, and you can also see how many are aligned with SBTi. Again, this is commercial. We're seeing contract clauses asking us how far we're pushing our ESG clauses down through our contracts. This is making my sales team say, yes, we've got this already, and they thank you very much, Claire. But I can't always see around the corners, so that's why those market demands really help. And this is a beautiful, perfectly formed community of practice. The individuals there, you can see at the top, right? They would be individuals that have sustainability in their role. So they could be CPOs, they could be ops directors, but they all have sustainability in there. And what we found is when we get the room together, and it'd be great to get your views, Alex, on that you see these glossy ESG reports and everyone's got, I'm going to take Simone's lead, their shit together. Mum not listening. But we don't truly have that all together, and that's what we find when you shut the doors. You can have really open, transparent conversations saying, I may look fine, but I'm not. And I need help. So there'll be stuff there where people can go, I've got that. Like nature at the moment, biodiversity, how do we bring that into a business model we're finding really difficult? So again, our clients have said, we're on that journey too. We can just share what we're doing. And it's been like free consultancy. Like, it's been really, really helpful. But I'll shut up and I'll pass over to Alex.
Thanks, Claire. So as Claire mentioned, I was one of the people that was in the room on that first day. I think there were 4 of us sitting in a room. We had a little whiteboard and we were sort of thinking, what could this be? What could this group be? I even remember that we didn't really know quite where we were going. We just sort of thought it would be good to get people together, because I think we often find that we don't get out of our day-to-day jobs enough. On days like today, for example, it's so refreshing to just get out and have a conversation with people and be reminded that there's a bigger world out there. So this was the purpose of this group, was to sort of bring people together. A couple of reflections for me about this community practice and community practices in general. So we are all, interestingly, in this group, in different stages of our career. So we've had people retire who've been part of the group. We've had people who are really, really new in their careers as well, and are just starting out and are just figuring out how they can make their mark. And it's been so interesting for me. I'm sort of in the middle of that. I've been in the industry, of sustainability industry, about 20 years now, and been doing a lot of interesting things around it. Having young people there who are so inspiring and so enthusiastic. There was a question asked earlier if there were any Americans in the room, and I had to raise my hand because I am American. Californian, I should point out, so we do have some standards around our carbon reporting. But I have always been known for being idealistic, for being positive, for being really, really, problem-solving, can-do. This is going to get through. We're going to get through this. We're going to be optimistic. And it's been hard, right? It's really hard. I mean, I think what's interesting is hearing today, I don't always spend time with facilities management, but I always love it when I do, because this is a group of people you guys are doing practical, hands-on, fantastic work that makes a difference to people. And that is a really exciting and I think really special place to be. And sustainability has the ability to be that too. Sustainability can be incredibly empowering, incredibly motivating, but can also be really very lonely. We don't always have big teams. We don't always feel like we're at the top of the agenda of organizations. I think a lot of parallels with facilities management. You don't always feel like you're the #1 priority, even though you're fundamentally important to the business doing well. And I think this community of practice has given us all a real sort of family atmosphere and collaborative atmosphere to be quite honest and open about what's going on. I joked earlier when I met Steve, and I was saying, it's sort of half problem solving and half therapy. And it feels that, that's actually, I think we all need to be more part of communities where we can talk about the challenges openly. So yeah, it's been a really great thing. And I think what I would also say, just in defense of my, not defense, but in celebration of my commercial colleagues out there, procurement people, who I feel compelled to sort of represent a little bit here. I think there's a lot of parallels between procurement and facilities management as well. We're often, procurement people are often not the ones that feel valued. And I really, really encourage you all to get to know the people who are doing procurement and help them upskill, help them understand what it is that you're doing. And even if you are client side, if you're a service provider, helping people and to live and breathe what you're trying to do, I think is a really, really important thing. You'll find that people doing procurement are much more curious than perhaps they appear to be. They're often given 10 different things to do and the time to do one. But but really taking that time to explain and bring people on that journey is so, so important. So we should probably do a procurement community of practice as well, so make sure that they've got their support as well. But yeah, it's been a really fantastic way of being able to collaborate, problem solve, and cry on each other's shoulders.
Thank you. So I feel like I should tell a joke because I have a microphone, and I'm going to steal this off a gentleman who's part of a broader community called Stuart Goldsmith, and he's been to the Apollo, so I hope, if you're there, see me later. How many people does it take, how many sustainability people does it take to change a light bulb? 1, because that's all the team that you have. So firstly, I just want to say thank you. As an FM space, we are so awesome in sustainability, more so than we ever expected. So you have pushed harder, further, faster than so many of our clients and supply partners, so absolutely take that back into your business. But with that joke aside, embed it through your organisation, because we're all part of this, part of the solution. So thank you, and ask loads of questions, because I know Sunil got loads earlier as well.